He went 5 innings.
Welcome to POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone. We had to delay POSTCAST for a few minutes for the end of the World Series. I knew my orange tie would work today. All right, so the Jazz lose their opener tonight by the final score of – where'd my final box go? First quarter? Final box. 104-93. 27-27 at the end of one, 58-50 at the half is the end of the second quarter. The Rockets really put it on the Jazz, hitting 6 threes. Then the Jazz rifle back with a 10-0 run at the end of the third, make it 75-72, but the Rockets just too good, open up the fourth quarter on a nice little run, and they win it 104-93. What's your overall impression of what you saw tonight?
Well, again, I was very impressed with the Jazz. This is their first basketball game. This is a very good basketball team, I think, with the Houston Rockets. I thought the game plan was good. It worked. It kept them in the basketball game in that first half with the score, with them trailing by 8, and it took some closing in the closing minutes of the second quarter for the Houston Rockets to extend their lead to 8 in that second quarter. But I thought the game plan was good. It's just that you can see the talent level of the Houston Rockets a little bit better than what the Jazz have right now with such young players. And it's obvious that the 3-point field goals are going to be the key for the Houston Rockets.
Maybe the disappointing thing on this is that 3-point field goals. The Jazz wanted to try to get away from allowing those. They were the worst team in the NBA defending a 3-point shot from the corner last year. I don't know the final number. At one point, according to Andy Larson of Salt City Hoops on Twitter, the Rockets hit 9 of 10 on corner threes. They end up hitting 14 of 27 from 3, where the Jazz bugaboo of a year ago comes back. They hit just 3 of 18. So it's unfortunate to see that taking place in the first game when so much work has been. But when you have a guy like James Harden throwing out 10 dimes, maybe that's going to happen.
And that's where the Jazz want to be, especially from the 3-point department there. I don't know if they want to take 27 threes. Maybe they do, or maybe Coach Snyder won't mind that from game to game. But I'm sure they want to be somewhere around 20, 21 3-point shot attempts at a basketball game. So you can see the damage that it does when you have guys that can shoot the 3-point shot. And I agree, as we talked about during the course of the basketball game, that Ariza is going to be an improvement, I think, over Parsons. And can shoot the 3, plus his defense is a lot better. Jason Terry seems to be in rare form. And when the jet gets going, then he can, cause some damage. How good is this team going to be? And if that's the question here, can they be contend out here in the West and maybe try to get to the finals?
Well, Dwight Howard tonight, 22 points, 10 rebounds. The Jazz decided they were going to not double Dwight early, to let Dwight go to work, and he went to work early. He scored 10 of their first 12 points. And they also decided they were going to take away Harden, and they did do that. But the problem was Harden answered with 10 assists. Harden only goes 6 of 18. He only goes to the free throw line 6 times. I mean, really, from a large part of this game plan, the Jazz executed defensively what they wanted to. You just sometimes got to tip your hat maybe and say that the Rockets were able to do the things the Jazz forced them into. I bet Quinn will probably want a little better defense on that 3-point.
I think he was very satisfied with the defense in that first half, except when Costa
Papanicolaou
came into the basketball, and he had 3 3-point field goals there in that second quarter and really separated themselves, from the Jazz. So that was the difference. They just keep pounding away at you. They just keep knocking down threes, that offensive pressure, with Harden handling the basketball. Now, even though they have a point guard in Beverly, Harden still handles the basketball a lot more than he does, similar to what you see with LeBron James, with whatever team he's playing for.
Let's go to some questions that have come in tonight from Ryan Dangerfield. Why did Favors only play 27 minutes tonight? Is Quinn being more restrictive with players who got into foul trouble? In fact, I think the answer to that is yes. He pulled him with 2 fouls in the second quarter and 3 fouls in the third quarter, but you had a good thought on why that was probably going to be the case.
And I was thinking ahead, I think more so like Snyder, because he was thinking second half. And as close as the ball game was, remember, that was a close basketball game when he took him out in that second quarter, and thinking there was going to be a close ball game in the fourth quarter. Okay, now that means you're going to be fouling Howard and putting him on the free throw line, but you didn't want to do so with Favors, having 4 or 5 fouls.
Right, that's a good point. Favors, Gobert did a fabulous job. I'm not sure Dwight Howard ever scored on Rudy Gobert at any point tonight in the ball game. From Daniel Wooden, how would you rate Enes Kanter's performance tonight?
I think good and not so good. I think he's offensively. Well, let's go defensively first. I think he needs to be just a little more physical. Maybe not so much physical. Let me back that up a little bit, because guys that are not naturally physical, that try to be physical, usually get into foul trouble. I think he needs to be stronger, because he was letting Howard back him in 4 or 5 feet away from the basket. And, if Howard can't score getting that close to the basket, then he doesn't need to be in the league. So I think he needs to be stronger. I think Cantor's going to get better. So, we just have to wait and see.
I think there's 2 plays that determine Ennis's night, and I don't know what the scouting report on him was. Those 2 plays were the Papanikolaou threes, where Cantor was in the lane, and I think the scouting report was to cut off Harden and help show bodies there, and so he got into that lane, and when he got into that lane, then they kicked it back out to Papanikolaou. Now, we might be wrong on that, and if we're wrong on that, and Ennis wasn't supposed to be that far away, then that's a bad night.
Yeah.
Because then he really got exposed in one of the key stretches of the game, giving up a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I don't know the way we saw. What I think we saw in shoot around is he played that correctly. Papanikolaou hits those threes, and that's an issue on that one.
And if that's not the case, they want him to be a stretch 4.
Right.
And if that's not the case, David, then they're going to have to rethink some of the
he's going to have to learn how to
defensively
defend the stretch 4 also. Right. All right, final question before we head to the plane. What are the greatest positives we can take from the Jazz game tonight? I'll let you lead off, or you want me to? Or
you go ahead.
I thought we saw basically all the good things we saw in preseason. We just saw a team that's a lot better in the Rockets that have some superstar players. Fast break points, the Rockets ended up with 18, but for a long time they had that stymied. They only had them at 5 at one point. The game plan execution against Harden, I think, was a real positive in that sense. And then offensively, I think they're figuring it out. I think, right now what you're seeing is this incredibly equally distributed shot selection, which shows they're running the offense. At some point, they're going to have to figure out where they have advantages offensively to be able to score.
I'm just going to repeat what Coach Snyder has said here. They're going to have to work very hard. It's going to be tough to win games, and they have to work very, very hard in order to do it. They're not concerned, but they are concerned with winning, especially early. But what they want to do is stay with the principles, the principles, the core principles that they've set out this year, and that is, take the good with the bad, and you just keep growing, with their offense and with their defense, and get better.
Let's remember, this is going to be a tough stretch. It's going to be hard to get many wins in the first month of the season. Nights like tonight are not going to be surprising. They're not going to be rare either. This is a team that's in a process, and it's going to take some time. I think you're going to have to watch the things like that question. Great question from Jordan. Find the positives, because I think the win-losses are still going to be difficult to come by.
Before we go here, and I think this is something we can all watch from this point on, is that when teams start to overplay and the perimeter defense gets tougher, we want to see the growth of the Jazz offense on attacking that and how good they can get at it. That's something that I think we can watch.
Phil Johnson mentioned that in the fourth quarter, the fact they were overplaying a lot, and our guys had to figure out how to deal with that. It's a good point. All right, that wraps us up tonight. Oh, by the way, there's one last question from Stephen Ronsley. Congrats on the World Series. Thanks. Appreciate that.